We are sitting here with Brian Tock, the founder of Tox, who has now
since moved on.
He's moved on, ladies and gentlemen. So before everyone kind of knows what happened and all that, before we get into that, let's get into the man that is Brian Tock.
That is Brian Tock, yes.
Right now, you're more of a myth, I would say.
Not so much a legend.
Not
just
quite a
myth.
legend, but we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
The majority of people recently know you through WeChat. They've seen some messages. But before we get into any of that, where are you originally from?
Originally from Montreal, a suburb, about 15, 20 minutes from downtown Montreal called West Island. Grew up there, went to school there, and then made a jump to London, Ontario, and went to school, University of Western.
Cool.
That's my story.
Nice. What brought you to Shanghai?
I used to be in manufacturing, so headwear, accessories, a lot of that stuff out of Montreal, and made my first trip to China in about 2009, 2010. And from there, for the next couple of years, came about 4 or 5 times a year. And every time I'd go down to Guangdong, Dongguan, do that whole factory thing, come back up here, and I was always craving sandwiches. Grew up, Jewish kid in Montreal, deli meats were just part of the staple. And so I just had some random thoughts, every time, like, oh, that'd be cool. And then went back home, left my other work, was working with some marketing startups, got a phone call from my uncle, who's, been traveling to Asia for many years. And he was like, hey, what do you think about smoked meat in Shanghai? And it just so happened that I had a nice duplex Montreal, and smoking and curing meats was a passion just of mine that I did.
Yeah.
And so put a business plan together, jumped on a plane, came out to Shanghai.
Usually when people ask me about smoked meats, it's a different context. Right?
Well, he was in Dongguan, I heard. So.
Yeah. I thought I knew what China was about by coming here 4 times a year for a couple years.
Yeah.
I thought, speaking to people, you're like, oh, okay, that's China. I get it. It's cool, whatever. But actually moving here, living here, working with, the people, the everyday working people, the kids of China, has really opened up my eyes to, what it actually takes to not just exist here in China, because it's super easy to do that, especially here in Shanghai.
True. Now, we got to get into the situation, if you don't mind. What happened? Walk us through exactly what happened. What I remember is I looked on WeChat. You're hanging out with Justin Trudeau. Everything's cool. First off, what's he like?
Justin Trudeau is a cool dude. We actually, roundaboutly knew each other. Like, we're in somewhat of the same circles through Montreal, just from different people. He's a little bit older than me. But actually meeting him face to face, he's just super down to earth. Definitely someone who's been born for, the public, political sphere. But he asked real questions about, my story. What's it like to do business out here? Funny enough, or interestingly enough, he was in China 15 years ago when his dad was the premier of Canada. Yep. And so for him, he was just at awe and was able to have somewhat of a normal conversation when we were chilling in the kitchen, couldn't believe what has happened in the last 15 years. And, it's the same old. People can tell you about something, but once you come and you're like, holy shit. And so it was really cool. And
he's basically, Trudeau's like a Shanghai expat. He goes immediately just for the most Western thing possible.
Yeah.
Ignore the temples, ignore the Chinese food.
He was coming from a few other places, but definitely made his stopover, which was cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's the best PR you could possibly get before the worst PR.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, good call.
So how did that work then? So you had this great week. The following week comes up. What happened? Walk us through it.
Well, like you mentioned, there's a bunch of stuff that, is personal. There's no point to get in now. And because of potential action and all of that stuff, what you can and can't say. Yeah. What I will say is that it's been the relationship between myself and my partners and family back in Canada has been tumultuous at best.
Yeah.
And so my partner, my actual partner, Mira, Chublish Miller. She and I actually started a consulting company together probably about a few months before. And so we started to look at different opportunities. We're being approached to consult on some projects. And so we started doing that while building, continuing to move talks forward. Yeah. And just through conversations, we were supposed to do a bunch of stuff. And, and I don't mean to be that kind of coy, but there's, certain details that all in all need to stay private for now.
Sure. Yeah.
But basically we couldn't agree. They are the majority shareholders. And so we decided to advise them a few months ago that we no longer want to manage talks. We have other opportunities and it's just not working.
Yeah.
And, we just can't come to an agreement of buyouts, of share changes, of we want to go here, you want to go there. We're used to building China and working in China, and things move fast and you need to move and you see something, you go.
Yeah.
Canada's a different story. There are so many intricacies that no one can actually teach you until you're in your restaurant, Mira and I, at 4 a.m. because the baoan of the hotel upstairs smelt like a terrible smell, and we run into the back, and our shashui dao, which is, for people who don't know, is your, cleaner, is the place where the trash cycles through, pretty much exploded, and we're, waist deep in literally just muck and crap. And this happens, and every F&B person that's ever really been in it knows what I mean. You can't teach that to someone. What do you do? How do you handle it? Can you open tomorrow? And what happens? Is there still a smell? But there's people that don't care as much, or just do what they do. And China's a perfect place where you walk into restaurants and there's supposedly great restaurants, and you look over and there's a cockroach running across the wall, or there's, the sofas are so gross you don't even want to sit on them.
He's just naming real things he's seeing right now.
That I'm seeing right now, actually, because that just happened.
There's two. So now we got to get to the hard-hitting stuff.
Yeah,
I apologize.
Love it.
This is the really hard-hitting stuff.
I'm now nervous.
This is the part of the show, a new segment we have called Press the Button.
Press the button and we're off script.
We're gonna ask you some questions, and we want you to answer with as much detail as you can. And these are tough. All right, listen.
All right.
This is no 2020 shit. This is real.
I'm gonna do my best.
You could get $1 million, but one person per year will try to kill you. Would you press the button?
Try to kill you.
Try.
That's a phenomenal question.
I do my best.
That's what we do here.
I would say, I would press the button.
Yeah.
I think that I would be able to, outmaneuver and outsmart anybody who is, I think, trying to kill me. So I would go with doing it. I would take the chances.
Okay. Listen, Brian's got some
I'm a
guns
gambler.
on him.
I'm a
He's
gambler.
got some guns.
I'll just live in Texas where I'm allowed to carry or something,
Have you ever thought that maybe Trudeau is working with your uncle to get you out of the business, and then...
Do you think it was an inside job?
I think it's possible. I mean, that's a good observation.
I don't trust that guy. He's too handsome.
We're trying to figure out this lizard people.
He's too handsome.
Listen, I've seen more photos of Trudeau on hikes without a shirt on,
right,
than I've seen him working. So he's the nice Putin. That's all. Exactly.
Too many times riding buses and having pleasant conversations with people. I don't like it.
It's just too fishy.
Putin's wrestling at a bear. Trudeau's just like feeding a puppy, shirtless,
or a baby goat.
He's always trying to grab me by the heart, but
I'm not letting
the wrong
him.
place.
I know he's got. Listen, these lizard people know what they're doing.
Yeah, follow Trump. He knows where to grab people.
That's locker room talk.
Room.
We'll do that off the mic.
Off
Apparently,
the mic.
That's what all guys do after.
I mean, that's exactly what's happening after this.